Okay, hi guys, what's going on? This is Mr. Wizards1, and this is my little guide on shading. Now that is the brush that you will be wanting to use. It's a brilliant brush for shading, and well, I use it anyway. That's what I use. You can use what you want. Okay, you're going to want a new layer, one for each colour that you want to do, so it doesn't go over the outline, which would ruin it or fuck it up basically. And you're going to want to put your opacity down to about 25%, 24, 25. Yeah, around that. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to be precise. Okay. So I'm going to do a bit of white shading here, and this is why you don't. This way, don't go over your um, outline layer with the shading, as it ruins it a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do a bit of light shading to start off with, around Sid's face, I guess. So yeah, as you can see, I'm close to the edge. The more strokes I put there, just to make it a little bit lighter each time. The further back, the less strokes you use. It's pretty simple stuff, really. There's nothing too complicated about this. This is a really easy cheat that I use quite a lot because I think it's genius. Okay, and there's up there. Look on the fin. I'm using fin thing, spines. I'm just going over it, and it stands out a bit more on that as dark colour. So what you can do is get your rubber, put the opacity down a bit, to like 30-40%, and then just rub out, and it will make it stand out less and be a bit more subtle. And the shading on the light green is pretty subtle. I will definitely use that there, I think. Okay, so now I've just created a new layer for the dark shading, and I'm going to go ahead and shade around his eye there, look. And yeah. This is really simple. The darker you want it to be, the more you go over it. And yeah. Sorry. There we go. Oh, looks pretty nice. Okay, and I'm just going to go over his cheek a bit as well. Okay, yeah, when you're using black, you don't have to use a new layer. You can just you can use whatever layer you want really, because it's just black. But if you don't want to get in the way, that's just a new layer. Because it's black, you won't notice it going over your outline. If your outline is black, it's purple, then you more of a new layer. But yeah, if it's black, you don't have to worry about doing a new layer. But I would, just to keep it out of the way of everything else. Right. No, look, you can do it without that brush, but you see, once you go over it, it's a bit more noticeable. So it's a bit more explicit, I should say. So I don't bother using that brush. I used to use that brush all the time, but then I found that one and I thought it was a lot better. It's all trial and error. Discovering things. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna shade it a bit more. Yeah. Sorry. And I'm shading his eyebrows. Now, even if like the dark shading and the light shading meet up and they sort of like I don't know, combine, it doesn't really matter because it still looks pretty good in my opinion. And in a minute I'm going to show you a perfect example of that with the eyelid. Okay, just ignore this bit coming up. I'm probably going to cut this out. Okay, here we go. As you can see, I'm going to shade in the eyelids, starting with the light shading on the left-hand side, and then on the right, I'm going to use the dark shading, because I think this is a perfect example of where you kind of need light and dark shading to sort of like go together, and it looks good. And it shows that you can use them together. It doesn't really matter particularly, but don't go over the top shading with this method, because it's more of like a subtle shading type of thing. You don't really want to make it too chunky, or else you'll see that the brush isn't actually that good for that sort of thing. But if you're just doing this sort of subtle, sort of delicate shading, and go ahead. And just there, I drew in a sort of lighter dark green, lighter darker one, about sort of greenier green, I suppose. I just drew a bit on using the same brush, like showing veins or something. So yeah, that's the end of that. Thanks for watching.